The package arrived on a Tuesday afternoon, unmarked except for my name scrawled in unfamiliar handwriting across the front. No return address. No postage stamp. Hand-delivered, apparently, while I was at work. My wife Emma had signed for it, she told me casually over dinner, barely looking up from her phone. Probably something from work, I said, turning the padded envelope over in my hands. Probably, she echoed, her voice flat. I didn't open it right away. Something about the way it felt in my hands, the weight of it, made me uneasy. Instead, I set it on my desk in the home office and forgot about it for 3 days. Life moved on. Meetings, grocery runs, the comfortable routine of a 7-year marriage that had settled into predictability. On Friday night, Emma said she was going to bed early. Headache. I poured myself a scotch and wandered into my office thinking I'd catch up on emails. That's when I saw the package again, still sitting exactly where I'd left it. The seal broke easily. Inside was a simple USB drive, black and generic, the kind you could buy in a 10-pack at any electronics store. No note, no explanation, just the drive. I should have thrown it away. Every instinct told me that nothing good comes from anonymous packages. But curiosity, that poisonous, insidious thing, made me plug it into my laptop anyway. One file. Video format, dated 6 months ago. My cursor hovered over it for what felt like an eternity. The scotch burned in my throat as I took another sip, then double-clicked. The video opened to a hotel room, not a cheap one, the kind with modern furniture, ambient lighting, a king-sized bed with crisp white sheets. The camera was stationary, probably set on a dresser or desk. At first, the room appeared empty and I nearly closed it, thinking it was some kind of mistake or prank. Then the bathroom door opened. Emma walked out wearing a black dress I'd never seen before. Her hair was styled differently, swept to one side the way she used to wear it when we first started dating. She was laughing at something someone off camera said. The sound was muffled, but I could hear the flirtation in it, that particular lilt she got in her voice when she was enjoying herself. A man appeared in the frame. Tall, athletic build, expensive suit. He was younger than me, maybe early 30s. His hand found the small of her back with the familiarity of someone who'd touched her there before. I felt the room tilt. They kissed. Slowly at first, then with increasing urgency. His hands moved to the zipper of her dress. She didn't resist. She helped him, actually, reaching behind to pull it down herself. The black dress pooled at her feet. I closed the laptop so hard it cracked the screen. The scotch glass was somehow empty. I didn't remember drinking it. My hands were shaking, trembling so violently I could barely grip the desk edge. The room spun. Bile rose in my throat 6 months ago. I ran through the timeline in my head. That was August. We'd been planning our anniversary trip. She'd had that work conference in Chicago. 3 days. She'd called me every night, told me about boring seminars and bad hotel coffee, complained about missing me. I played the video again, paused it, zoomed in on her face, hoping desperately that I was wrong, that it was someone who just looked like her, that this was all some cruel mistake or elaborate prank. But it was her. The small scar above her left eyebrow from a childhood fall, the birthmark on her shoulder, the way she tilted her head when she smiled. Every detail confirmed what I already knew, my wife. In a hotel room, with another man. The timestamp on the video read August 17th, 9:47 p.m. The exact night she'd called me from the hotel bar to say goodnight. Told me she loved me, asked me to remember to feed her plants. I sat in that office for hours, watching the video loop, torturing myself with every frame, the way she looked at him, the way she moved, the intimacy, the joy on her face and the joy I hadn't seen directed at me in years. When dawn finally broke through the windows, I knew what I had to do. I had to ask her. I didn't sleep. How could I? The images played on repeat behind my eyelids every time I closed them. By the time Emma's alarm went off at 6:30 a.m., I was sitting in the living room, laptop on the coffee table. The video paused on a frame that showed her face clearly. I heard her footsteps upstairs, the familiar sounds of her morning routine, shower running, hairdryer humming, the creak of the closet door. All of it so normal, so routine, like she hadn't shattered our entire life 6 months ago. She came downstairs in her work clothes, still toweling her hair, and stopped short when she saw me. "You're up early," she said, her smile uncertain. "Couldn't sleep?" "No," I said quietly. "Come sit down, Emma." Something in my voice made her freeze. The towel slipped from her hands. Her eyes found the laptop, and even though the screen was angled away from her, I saw her face change. Not confusion, recognition. She knew. "What's that?" she asked, but her voice was too careful, too controlled. "I received a package this week. A USB drive, no note. Just this video." I turned the laptop toward her. "I need you to look at it and tell me the truth." Emma's eyes darted to the screen, then away like she'd been burned. Her face went pale, bloodless. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. No sound came out. "Is that you?" I asked, keeping my voice steady despite the way my heart was hammering against my ribs. "In that hotel room." "Is that you, Emma?" "Silence. Answer me," I said, louder now. "Were you really in this video?" More silence. But it was the kind of silence that screams. The kind that confirms every terrible suspicion. She stood there, frozen, her hands trembling at her sides. Tears welled in her eyes and spilled down her cheeks, but she didn't make a sound. She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. She said nothing at all. "The silence answers everything, doesn't it?" I said, my voice breaking. Emma finally moved, sinking onto the couch like her legs couldn't support her anymore. Her whole body shook with silent sobs. She covered her face with her hands, and I watched my wife and the woman I'd built a life with, bought a house with, planned a future with, fall apart in front of me, and I felt nothing. Or maybe I felt everything at once, so much that it canceled itself out into numbness. "How long?" I finally asked. She shook her head, still not speaking. "How long?" I shouted, the dam finally breaking. "It's over," she whispered, the first words she'd spoken since I showed her the video. "It ended months ago. Please, Mark, it's over. It was a mistake. A terrible mistake. Don't." I held up my hand. "Don't you dare minimize this. Don't call it a mistake like you accidentally sent an email to the wrong person. You had an affair, Emma. You slept with another man. You lied to me for months. I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I'm so sorry. I never meant what? To get caught?" The laugh that came out of me was bitter, harsh. "Were you ever going to tell me? Or were you just going to let me live in ignorance forever?" She had no answer for that. Of course she didn't, because the truth was she never would have told me. I would have gone my whole life not knowing, thinking we were happy, thinking we were solid while she carried this secret. "Who is he?" I asked. "It doesn't matter. Who is he?"
"His name is David. I met him at the conference."
"We had dinner, and it just happened. I swear, Mark, it was only that weekend. Only those 3 days, only," I repeated, tasting the word. "Only 3 days. Only 6 months ago. Only the woman I trusted with everything." I stood up, pacing now, unable to sit still. "Did you love him?" "No, God, no. I don't know what it was. I felt trapped, restless. We'd been fighting more, and you were always working late, and I felt invisible. So this is my fault?" I whirled on her. "You cheated because I was working? Because we were going through a rough patch like every married couple does? That's not what I'm saying." "Then what are you saying, Emma? Help me understand how you could do this." She looked at me with red, swollen eyes. "I can't explain it. There's no excuse. I was selfish and stupid, and I hurt you, and I hate myself for it. I've hated myself every day since, but not enough to tell me the truth. I was afraid of losing you. You already lost me," I said softly. "The moment you walked into that hotel room with him, you lost me. I just didn't know it yet." I grabbed my keys from the table. I couldn't be in that house anymore. Couldn't breathe the same air as her. "Where are you going?" Emma asked, panic in her voice. "Away, anywhere but here. Mark, please." "Don't leave. We can work through this. We can get counseling." "There is no we anymore," I said, opening the front door. "There's you, and there's me, and there's the wreckage of what we used to be. That's all that's left." I left her sitting there crying alone, just like I'd been alone for 6 months, living with a ghost of a marriage while she carried her secret. I drove aimlessly for hours, my mind replaying everything, not just the video, but our entire relationship, looking for signs I'd missed, clues, red flags. There had to have been something. Some indication that the woman I loved was capable of this, but all I found were memories that now felt like lies. I ended up at my brother's apartment. Jake took one look at my face and pulled me inside without questions. He handed me a beer, sat me down on his couch, and waited. "Emma cheated on me," I said finally, the words feeling foreign in my mouth. "I saw a video. Someone sent it to me." Jake's jaw tightened. "Shit, Mark, I'm sorry, man." I told him everything. The package, the video, the confrontation. Emma's silence. Her admission. Her excuses. He listened without interrupting, and when I finished, he just shook his head. What are you going to do? I don't know, I admitted. Divorce, obviously. But I feel like I need people to know what she did. Is that crazy? I'm not a vindictive person, but I can't stand the thought of her controlling the narrative. Of people thinking I'm the bad guy, or that we just grew apart, or some other sanitized version of the truth. That's not crazy, Jake said. She betrayed you. You have every right to feel angry. Over the next few days, I stayed with Jake. Emma texted constantly on apologies, please, promises to do anything to fix this. I ignored most of them. I couldn't process her words, couldn't separate genuine remorse from fear of consequences. My phone became a weapon she used to bombard me with regret. On day 3, I was sitting at Jake's kitchen table when an idea crystallized. My wedding ring sat in front of me, the gold band I'd worn for 7 years. I'd taken it off the night I left. Now it just looked like a prop, a symbol of something that no longer existed. I grabbed my phone and set it to video, placed the ring on the wooden table. The afternoon light caught it just right, making it gleam. I gave it a spin. The ring whirled on the table, catching light, a perfect circle of gold rotating in place. I filmed it for 10 seconds, then stopped. I opened my social media. I rarely posted, maybe a few times a year, but I had a few hundred followers. Friends and family mostly. I uploaded the video with a simple caption. I finally saw the truth. Then I hit post. I didn't expect much. Maybe a few concerned comments from friends. Maybe someone would call to check on me. But what happened over the next 24 hours was something I never anticipated. The video went viral. It started slowly. A dozen likes, a few shares. Then hundreds, then thousands. By the next morning, it had been viewed over 1 million times. People I'd never met were commenting, sharing their own stories of betrayal, tagging friends, debating what my cryptic message meant. The ring said everything, one comment read. The way it spins and goes nowhere. That's marriage after infidelity, said another. Some people thought I was being dramatic. Others praised my restraint. Relationship bloggers analyzed it. A few minor celebrities shared it. Someone even made a remix with sad piano music. My phone exploded with notifications, friend requests from strangers, messages asking if I was okay. Some people had figured out who Emma was from my profile, and her social media was flooded with hateful comments and messages. She doesn't deserve you. Once a cheater, always a cheater. I hope he takes everything in the divorce, Emma called me crying. What did you do? My coworkers have seen it. My parents are getting messages. People are sending me death threats, Mark. Death threats. I posted a video of a ring, I said coldly. That's all. You knew what you were doing. You wanted to humiliate me. Did I asked. Because I didn't mention you by name. I didn't post the video someone sent me. I didn't share details. I posted my wedding ring with 6 words. If people figured out the rest, maybe that says something about you, not me. This is cruel, she sobbed. You know what's cruel, Emma? Finding out your wife fucked another man in a hotel room. That's cruel. This is just the truth finding its way to light. I hung up. Jake found me staring at my phone, watching the view count climb. 2 million. 3 million. Man, you broke the internet, he said. How do you feel? Empty, I admitted. I thought I'd feel vindicated or satisfied or something. But I just feel hollow. That's normal, Jake said. Revenge doesn't actually make you feel better. It just makes you feel like you did something. He was right. But I couldn't take it back now. The video had taken on a life of its own. It wasn't mine anymore. It belonged to the internet, to strangers who projected their own pain and experiences onto my spinning wedding ring. News outlets started reaching out. Local morning shows wanted interviews. A podcast about relationships wanted me as a guest. I declined everything. I didn't want to be the poster child for betrayed spouses. I just wanted to understand how my life had fallen apart so completely. That night I looked at the video again. 3 million views, 20,000 comments, and suddenly I saw what everyone else saw, not just a ring, but a metaphor. Spinning in place, going nowhere, the reflection of light creating the illusion of something precious when really it was just metal. That's what my marriage had been, an illusion, beautiful from certain angles but hollow at its core. The next morning I called a divorce attorney. The attorney's office smelled like leather and old books. Susan Mitchell was in her 50s, sharp-eyed, with a no-nonsense demeanor that I found oddly comforting. She'd seen this story before, lived through its variations dozens or hundreds of times. "The video helps," she said, reviewing the USB drive I'd brought. "Infidelity affects asset division in some cases, especially if marital funds were used to facilitate the affair. Hotels, gifts, dinners, and we'll subpoena credit card records. I hadn't thought about that. The practical implications. That Emma might have used our money to wine and dine her affair partner. I want a clean break," I told Susan. "I don't care about being vindictive. I just want out. Understood. But don't undersell yourself. You're entitled to what's fair." Fair. What an absurd concept. Nothing about this was fair. As Susan talked about asset division, custody schedules for the house we'd bought together, and timeline expectations, my phone kept buzzing. The viral video had entered its second wave. Think pieces were being written. The psychology behind the spinning ring video. Why this silent marriage? Statement resonated with millions. A relationship. Therapist had done a 10-minute YouTube video analyzing what my post meant about modern marriage and the digital age's impact on how we process betrayal. She had 300,000 subscribers. Her video about me had already gotten 2 million views. I'd become a meme, a moment, a cultural touchstone. And I hated it. "You should probably stay off social media for a while," Susan advised when she noticed my distraction. "These cases get messy enough without public pressure." But I couldn't stay away. That night I scrolled through the comments again, and that's when I found it. A message in my DMs from an account I didn't recognize. "A justice seeker, the 2024. You deserve to know everything." It wasn't just 3 days, my blood ran cold. I clicked on the message. "I know David, I know what he and your wife had. It lasted 5 months, not one weekend. There are more videos, more evidence. I can send them if you want the full truth. You seem like a good guy who got screwed over. You should know what you're dealing with." My hands shook as I typed, "Who are you?" The response came immediately. "Someone who knows what it's like to be lied to. David did the same thing to me. Your wife wasn't his first affair. Probably won't be his last. Check your email." I opened my email app. There, from a Proton mail address, was a message with 3 video file attachments and a dozen screenshots of text messages. I shouldn't have opened them. Susan would have told me to let her handle it, to not contaminate my emotional state further. But I clicked anyway. The first video was from a different hotel room. Different city. September, 1 month after the Chicago conference. Emma and David again. Same intimacy, same betrayal. The timestamp was from a weekend she'd told me she was visiting her college roommate in Boston. The second video, October. Another hotel. The third, November. A restaurant this time, caught on what looked like surveillance footage. Emma and David at a corner table, holding hands across the tablecloth, her laughing at something he said with that same tilt of her head. 5 months. Not 3 days. 5 months of lies, of fake trips, of elaborate cover stories. The text message screenshots were worse somehow, more personal. Emma writing to David about how guilty she felt, but how alive he made her feel. David calling her baby and making plans to leave their respective spouses. Emma saying she needed just a little more time to figure out how to tell me. Except she'd never told me. It ended according to the timestamps only because David had gotten cold feet and cut things off. Emma hadn't chosen me. She'd been rejected by him and settled for staying in our marriage by default. I threw my phone across the room. Jake found me an hour later, sitting in the dark. The email's still open on my laptop. "It was 5 months," I said, my voice hollow. She lied about that too. It wasn't some impulsive weekend mistake. It was a sustained, deliberate affair. She was planning to leave me for him. Jake sat down beside me, silent. What could he say? There were no words for this. "I need to confront her again," I said. "Are you sure that's a good idea?" "No, but I need her to know that I know. I need her to stop controlling the narrative, even to herself." I forwarded everything to Susan first, then drove to the house, my house, our house, the place that didn't feel like home anymore. Emma answered the door looking exhausted, her eyes red-rimmed. "Mark, I'm glad you came." "We need to talk." 5 months, I interrupted. It wasn't 3 days. It was 5 months, Emma. September, October, November, Boston, Seattle, Denver. Do those cities ring a bell? Her face crumbled. "How did you—" "Does it matter? Someone sent me everything, videos, text messages, all of it. I pushed past her into the living room. You were planning to leave me for him. That's not, don't. I spun to face her. I've read the messages. I need just a little more time to tell Mark. I can't keep living this double life. When are you going to leave her? Those are your words, Emma, your words to him about me. She sank onto the couch, defeated. He ended it, she whispered. In December, said he couldn't do it anymore, that it was too complicated. I was devastated. You were devastated, I repeated slowly. Your affair ended and you were devastated. Not guilty, not remorseful, devastated that you lost him. I grieved for what might have been, she said, the honesty brutal. But then I realized what I had with you was real, was worth saving. Stop, I said. You don't get to rewrite this. You didn't choose me. He rejected you and I was the consolation prize. You came back to me by default. Emma looked up at me, tears streaming. That's not how it was. Then how was it? Silence again. Because there was no good answer. No version of this story where she came out looking like anything other than what she was. Someone who'd destroyed a marriage for a fantasy, then settled for the ruins when the fantasy evaporated. I'll be filing for divorce, I said. My attorney will be in touch. I want you out of this house by the end of the month. This is my house too. Then buy me out. Or we'll sell it. I don't care, but I'm not living under the same roof as you anymore. I turned to leave, then stopped. One more question burned in my mind. Did you ever love me? Really, Emma met my eyes. Yes, I did. I do. I don't believe you, I said. And that's the saddest part of all of this. You've destroyed my ability to believe anything you say. I left her there crying in our living room and drove back to Jake's apartment. The viral video had hit 10 million views. A celebrity had shared it. It was trending on 3 different platforms, but none of those millions of people knew the whole story. They saw a spinning ring and projected their own narratives onto it. Only I knew the full, ugly truth, and somehow that made it even more isolating. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized. Emma got the house. I didn't want it anymore, couldn't walk through those rooms without seeing ghosts. And I took my half of the equity plus a larger share of our joint savings due to the infidelity clause. Susan had been right. The evidence mattered. The viral video had faded from the internet's collective consciousness, replaced by newer moments, fresher outrage, different stories. My 15 minutes of unintentional fame had expired. Life, mercifully, returned to something resembling privacy. I'd moved into a small apartment downtown, furnished it simply, started over with just the essentials. There was something cleansing about the minimalism, about not being surrounded by 7 years of accumulated memories and shared purchases. Every item in my new space was mine alone, chosen by me, belonging to this new chapter. Therapy helped. Dr. Rodriguez, a calm man in his 60s, helped me work through the anger, the betrayal, the complicated grief of losing not just a partner but an entire imagined future. He taught me that healing wasn't linear, that some days I'd feel fine and others I'd be blindsided by rage or sadness over something trivial. A song on the radio, a couple holding hands on the street, the smell of Emma's perfume on a stranger. You're not mourning just the relationship, he told me in one session. You're mourning who you thought you were in that relationship. You're grieving your own innocence. He was right. The hardest part wasn't losing Emma. It was losing the version of myself who'd trusted completely, loved without reservation, believed in the permanence of promises made. Jake helped me rejoin the world. Dragged me to bars, introduced me to his friend group, got me back into hobbies I'd abandoned during the marriage. I started rock climbing again, something I'd loved in my 20s but given up somewhere along the way. The physical challenge, the focus required, the small victories of completing a difficult route, it all helped rebuild something in me that had broken. I went on a few dates. Nothing serious. I wasn't ready for that. Maybe wouldn't be for a long time. But I learned I could still have a conversation with a woman without seeing betrayal in every smile, suspicion in every laugh. That was progress. Emma tried reaching out a few times in those first months. Emails mostly, which I deleted without reading. One handwritten letter that arrived at Jake's place. I never told her my new address. I threw it away unopened. Dr. Rodriguez asked if I wanted closure, a final conversation where we both said our pieces. I already have closure, I told him. The video gave me that. The divorce gave me that. I don't need her version of events anymore. I don't need her apology or her explanations. I need her to be part of my past, not my present. He nodded approvingly. That's wisdom. 6 months after the divorce, I ran into her at a coffee shop. It was bound to happen eventually. We'd lived in the same city for years, frequented the same places. She was with someone, a woman around our age, laughing at something on her phone. She looked different. Lighter somehow, like she'd been carrying something heavy and finally set it down. When she saw me, the laughter died. Guilt flickered across her face, then something else. Sadness, maybe. Regret. She raised her hand in a tentative wave. I nodded once in acknowledgement, then turned back to my laptop. I was writing something I'd started doing in therapy. Not about her, not about the affair, but about everything else, my childhood, my dreams, the person I wanted to become. Dr. Rodriguez said it was healthy, processing life through narrative. Emma didn't approach me. After a few minutes, she left with her friend. And I felt nothing, no anger, no longing, no curiosity about who the friend was or what Emma's life looked like now. Just a neutral observation that someone I used to know was in the same space as me for a moment, and then wasn't. That's when I knew I'd truly moved on. The spinning ring video still existed out there in the digital ether, accumulating views slowly, a permanent record of my worst day. Sometimes people recognized me from it, though less frequently as time passed. A few times someone would approach me, usually to share their own story of betrayal, to thank me for making them feel less alone. Your video helped me leave, a woman told me once at a bookstore. I'd been making excuses for my husband's affairs for 3 years. Seeing your ring spin like that, just going nowhere, I realized that's what I was doing. Going nowhere. It gave me courage. I didn't know how to respond to that. I hadn't posted the video to help anyone. I'd done it out of pain and anger and a need to control some small piece of the narrative when everything else felt chaotic. But if something good had come from it, some other person finding strength to change their life, then maybe the humiliation had been worth it. 1 year after the divorce, I took my wedding ring. I'd kept it in a drawer, unable to throw it away but unable to look at it, and drove to the lake where Emma and I had gotten engaged. It was autumn again, the trees brilliant with color, the water calm and mirror smooth. I stood at the end of the dock and held the ring up to the sunlight one last time. The gold gleamed, just like it had in the video. For 7 years this ring had meant forever. Now it meant nothing. I threw it as far as I could. It arced through the air, caught the sun one final time, then disappeared into the dark water without a sound. I waited for some profound feeling, some sense of closure or catharsis. But I just felt tired and ready to leave. On the drive home, my phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Coffee sometime? It's Sarah. We met at Jake's game night last month. I remembered her. Bright smile, sharp wit, easy laugh. We'd talked for an hour about nothing in particular. And I'd left feeling like maybe someday I could do this again. Not yet, but someday. I typed back. I'd like that.
How about next week?
Her response came quickly. It's a date. Not a date, I thought. Not yet, but the possibility of one. The idea that my life wasn't over. That the story didn't end with betrayal and spinning rings and viral videos. It ended with me choosing to keep going, to remain open to what came next. That night, I opened my laptop and wrote the final entry in the journal Dr. Rodriguez had encouraged me to keep. A year ago, I discovered my wife had been living a lie. I thought that discovery would destroy me. In some ways, it did. The person I was before that USB drive arrived doesn't exist anymore. He was naive, trusting in ways that weren't earned, building a life on foundations he never thought to question. But I'm not that person anymore. I've been burned down and built back up. I'm harder in some ways, more cautious, but I'm also freer. I'm not carrying the weight of someone else's deception. I'm not performing in a marriage that was theater for one of us while the other lived a secret life. The spinning ring in my viral video wasn't just about marriage ending. It was about being stuck in place, going nowhere, trapped in a cycle. But rings aren't the only things that spin. Seasons spin through years. The earth spins on its axis. Everything cycles, moves, changes. I'm spinning too, but not in place. I'm moving forward, carrying the lessons and leaving the weight behind. Emma taught me what I won't accept, what I won't forgive, where my boundaries are. And while I wouldn't have chosen this painful education, I'm grateful for who I'm becoming on the other side of it. The truth didn't destroy me. It set me free. And now I'm ready to see what comes next. I closed the laptop and looked around my small apartment. Tomorrow I'd go to work. Next week I'd have coffee with Sarah. Next month I'd turn 40, a milestone I'd once imagined celebrating with Emma, now celebrating as a newly single man. And that was okay. The viral video had captured a moment of my life, frozen it in digital amber for millions to see. But I was more than that moment. I was every moment that came after, every choice to heal instead of harden, every small act of rebuilding. The ring had stopped spinning when it hit the water, and so had I. Stopped spinning in place, stopped being trapped in the wreckage of what was. Now I was just moving forward, one day at a time, toward whatever future I chose to build. And for the first time in a year, that felt like enough.